You pull the club back, you swing it through, and your lower back just screams in agony.
Oh yeah, it's a familiar story for so many.
Right. I mean, why does a supposedly simple pendulum-like motion leave thousands of golfers popping painkillers by the 14th hole?
Well, we generally think of hitting a golf ball as this straightforward physics problem, you know, like a simple lever system.
Exactly, just a lever and a fulcrum.
But when you step into the actual biomechanics of the swing, that simple pendulum completely shatters. I mean, we are looking at a kinetic landscape that is wildly complex.
Yeah, you're talking about dozens of joints firing in fractions of a second.
Precisely. And the human body, it wasn't evolutionarily designed to swing a stick at 100 miles per hour while standing still. It is the absolute definition of a biomechanical puzzle.
It really is. And today's mission for this deep dive is unlocking the hidden scientific engines of the perfect golf swing.
And maybe more importantly, digging into the anatomy of why chasing a bigger, wilder swing is probably destroying your body.
For sure. To do this, we've got a fascinating stack of research to guide us. We're looking at a pretty dense kinematic study out of the DCU Research Repository focusing on the 5-iron.
Yeah, that one has some incredible data.
Plus, we're pulling from foundational anatomy texts, specifically looking at the upper back and then tying it together with sports science analysis from Mid-Michigan Health and Tonal.
And we can't forget the practical coaching drills from academies like Golf Smart Academy and Rotary Swing.
Right, because the goal here is to take all that high-level kinematic data and translate it into actual aha moments that you can take straight to the driving range.
The how and the why of the swing, basically.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. I want to start with the source of power. The DCU study spends a lot of ink on a metric called the X factor.
Ah, famous X factor.
Right. So to define that, the X factor measures the relative rotation of your shoulders compared to your hips, specifically at the exact top of the backswing.
So it's basically the mathematical difference between how far your rib cage is turned away from the target and how far your pelvis is turned.
Exactly.
I mean, if your pelvis rotates 25 degrees and your upper thorax rotates 90 degrees, you have a 45-degree differential. That is your X factor.
Simple math, really.
Right. And a larger differential means you have wound your core incredibly tight. The reason biomechanists care so much about this differential is because it triggers what sports scientists call the stretch shortening cycle.
Oh, I want to dig into the physics of that cycle because it's essentially the secret to free distance.
It really is free speed if you use it right.
Yeah, because human movement rarely relies on just one type of isolated muscle contraction, right? The stretch shortening cycle, or SSC, takes a muscle and rapidly lengthens it under load.
Which is the eccentric phase.
Right, the eccentric phase. As the muscle lengthens, it stores elastic energy in the muscle fibers, the tendons, and the surrounding fascia.
Think about the neurological response happening there, though. When you rapidly stretch a muscle, sensory receptors called muscle spindles detect that sudden lengthening.
And the nervous system kind of freaks out, right?
Exactly. It interprets that rapid stretch as a potential threat, like the muscle might literally tear, so it fires an involuntary reflex to contract the muscle violently in the opposite direction.
Wow.
Yeah, that concentric contraction is where the power just explodes.
But the timing of that transition is everything, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like if you pull back a rubber band and hold it for 5 minutes, the molecular structure relaxes, it loses all its snap.
That's a perfect analogy. The exact same thing happens in the body.
So the DCU study highlights that the improvement in neuromuscular output actually degrades if the transition isn't dynamic.
Right. Pausing too long at the top of the swing basically bleeds out all that free elastic energy.
You just lose it. Which leads directly to some of the most counterintuitive data in that entire 5-iron study.
Oh, the elite versus amateur data. This part is fascinating.
Yeah. So the researchers at DCU separated their subjects into a high ball speed group, which represented elite professionals, and a low ball speed group representing everyday amateurs.
And you would naturally assume that the elite players generate more clubhead speed by simply winding their arms up further.
Right, like creating massive rotation in their shoulder joints to hit the ball harder.
That is the standard amateur instinct. Turn the arms more, swing harder.
But the kinematic data showed the exact opposite.
Wait, really? The exact opposite?
Yeah. The elite golfers utilize significantly less internal and external rotation of their lead shoulder during the backswing.
Oh, wow. So they're keeping the actual humerus bone, the upper arm, remarkably quiet inside the shoulder socket.
Exactly. The amateurs were artificially manufacturing a longer backswing by twisting their arm bones, which, rolls the club face wide open.
Oh, which is a nightmare to recover from. So the pros maintain the club face orientation much closer to neutral.
Right. Mechanically, a smaller range of rotational movement within the shoulder joint during that eccentric stretching phase actually increases the efficiency of the snapback down.
That makes total sense, and it changes the geometry of the swing arc, too.
How so?
Well, if the pros aren't twisting their arms to get the club further back, they are relying on a straighter lead arm to push the club head further away from their chest.
Oh, creating a wider arc.
Exactly. A wider arc means the club head has a longer physical path to travel before impact, which just grants it more time to accelerate.
And acceleration relies heavily on how energy transfers between body segments, which brings us to proximal to distal sequencing.
Right, the kinetic chain. Proximal meaning closer to the center of the body, and distal meaning further away.
Right. Energy transfer in a golf swing operates exactly like cracking a whip.
I love the whip analogy.
It's so accurate. The
Right.
handle of the whip moves a short distance, but it transfers its momentum to the next lighter section of the leather.
Right, and that section moves faster, transferring energy to an even lighter section.
Until the very tip just breaks the sound barrier.
So the golf swing is basically a human whip.
Exactly. It starts at the floor. Ground reaction forces allow the pelvis to rotate back toward the target.
And that heavy, massive pelvis transfers its energy to the thorax.
Right. The ribcage rotates, transferring energy to the shoulders pull the arms, and finally the arms release the club head.
It is this beautiful cascading transfer of momentum.
But if an amateur tries to fire their hands first, they bypass the heavy base of the whip.
Right, they short-circuit the entire power plant.
Which brings up a critical mechanical question. The sequence makes sense on paper, right? Hips, then ribcage, then arms.
Sure.
But we need to look at the physical linkage here. If my hips fire first, they don't physically touch my arms.
Obviously not, yeah.
So there has to be an anatomical bridge that translates the rotation of the lower body into the downward pull of the arms.
And that missing link, the mechanism that honestly ruins the majority of amateur golf swings, lies in the anatomy of the upper back.
Okay, lay it on me. What are we looking at?
Specifically, the trapezius muscle. If you look at foundational anatomy texts, they show the trapezius as this massive, diamond-shaped muscle.
It's huge.
Massive. It originates all the way up at the occipital bone at the base of your skull, fans out to the shoulder blades, and anchors down the thoracic spine.
So it covers almost the entire upper back.
Yeah, and its primary function is controlling the movement of the scapulae, the shoulder blades.
Okay.
In a golf context, we have to isolate the trail scapula. So for a right-handed golfer, the right shoulder blade.
Right. According to biomechanics analysis from Kaiser University's College of Golf, the downswing doesn't start with the arms pulling downward.
Say that again, because that's huge.
The downswing does not start with the arms pulling downward.
Right, so what's the trigger?
The trigger occurs when the middle fibers of the trapezius contract, pulling the trail shoulder blade inward toward the spine and slightly downward.
This motion is called retraction.
Or, as a lot of coaches call it, the scapula tuck.
Wait, so when I start my downswing, I'm not supposed to actively pull my arms down to the ball?
Not at all. I want to map the physics of this because it completely reframes the downswing. Most amateurs get to the top of the swing and immediately engage their lats and biceps to chop the club down at the golf ball.
Yeah, they're actively pulling the handle with their arms.
Exactly. And when a golfer actively pulls from the arms, the entire shoulder structure is forced to thrust outward toward the ball.
The humerus pushes away from the rib cage.
Right. This throws the mass of the club head outside of the proper geometric plane.
Which creates an out-to-in swing path.
Yes. The club chops across the ball, imparting lateral side spin, and boom, you get a massive slice into the woods.
It's the classic over-the-top move. It isn't a mysterious curse. It's just the direct mechanical result of using the wrong muscle group to start the downswing.
Exactly. But the scapula tuck changes that geometry completely.
How so?
When that trail shoulder blade retracts toward the thoracic spine, it physically alters the tilt of the shoulder socket.
Ah,
That tiny inward contraction automatically drops the trail shoulder downward. Because the arm is attached to that socket, the arm drops with it, falling smoothly into the correct delivery channel.
so it basically slots the club onto the proper plane without the golfer ever actively pulling their arms down.
Exactly. The retracting shoulder blade acts like an elevator. It lowers the entire arm structure while keeping it pinned close to the rotating torso.
That's incredible. And Rotary Swing's data backs this up perfectly. They show that elite players use this exact scapular movement to maintain upper body structure,
Right. It allows the massive torque generated by the lower body to just pull the arms through impact, rather than the arms trying to generate the speed all by themselves.
which is incredibly efficient for moving a golf club.
Yeah.
But it introduces a pretty massive structural hazard for the human body.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, violently coiling the torso, maximizing the X factor, firing the hips, and rapidly compressing the shoulder blades, you're generating extreme physical force there.
Which brings us back to those painkillers on the 14th hole.
Exactly. The golf swing might be an efficient way to hit a ball, but the human spine isn't naturally built to absorb those specific rotational forces over and over again.
Right. The research from Tonal and Mid-Michigan Health breaks this down beautifully, using the joint-by-joint approach to human anatomy.
Yeah, the joint-by-joint approach is brilliant. It visualizes the body as an alternating stack of mobile joints and stable joints.
Okay, let's trace it up from the floor.
Sure. So the ankles are meant to be mobile. The knees are hinged joints designed for stability.
Right.
Then we reach the hips. The hips are deep ball and socket joints with multiple degrees of freedom. So they are highly mobile and designed for extensive rotation.
But then moving up to the lumbar spine, the lower back, the architecture changes completely, right?
Totally. The lumbar vertebrae feature facet joints that interlock vertically.
Okay.
They are built for flexion and extension, bending forward and backward, but that vertical interlocking physically blocks them from twisting. The lower back is meant to be a stable region.
Wow. And then above the lumbar spine is the thoracic spine, the upper back, and rib cage.
Right, and the facet joints there are angled differently, allowing for significant rotation and side bending. It's a highly mobile region.
So the human core is fundamentally a stable lower back sandwiched between highly mobile hips and a highly mobile upper back.
That's the design, and it's elegant. The hips and upper back handle the twisting, while the lower back acts as a stable transmission transferring power between them.
But our modern lifestyle completely destroys that design.
Oh, absolutely ruins it.
Sitting slouched at a desk for 8 hours a day alters our physiology. The thoracic spine freezes into this permanent forward hunch, losing its ability to extend and rotate.
And the hip flexors shorten and tighten, severely limiting internal and external rotation of the femur.
So take that compromised anatomy to the driving range. The golfer attempts to swing a club at 100 miles per hour, aggressively trying to create that massive X-factor differential.
And the brain sends the signal to rotate the body.
But the mobile joints, the hips, and the thoracic spine are locked up.
They refuse to rotate.
Right. But the body still needs to find that range of motion to complete the swing. So the brain recruits the only joint left in the middle.
The stable lumbar spine.
Exactly. It forces those interlocking vertebrae to twist.
And the biomechanical data from the DCU study quantifies the damage this causes. Amateurs generate significantly greater lateral bending, shear, compression, and torsional forces on their lumbar spines than touring professionals.
Ouch. Let's define those forces real quick. Compression is the vertebrae smashing downward into each other, right?
Yeah, and shear is one vertebra sliding horizontally across the disc underneath it. Torsion is basically wringing the spine like a wet towel.
When you force a joint that is mechanically designed to prevent twisting, to suddenly absorb extreme torsional and shear forces, you start micro-tearing the annulus fibrosus, which is the tough outer layer of the spinal discs.
Right, you're literally grinding the facet joints together, and then the surrounding muscles just spasm to protect the spine.
So if your lower back is screaming after 18 holes, your back probably isn't the actual problem.
Exactly. The lower back is rarely the root cause of a golfer's pain. It is the victim of tight hips and a stiff upper back.
It's just the weakest link that finally breaks under the pressure of compensating for the frozen joints above and below it.
Right.
But knowing the mechanics of the failure point allows us to address it, right?
Right.
We have the X factor and the stretch shortening cycle.
Yep.
We have the transmission, the scapula tuck.
Right.
And we know the hazard lumbar compensation. So how do we take this anatomical breakdown and actually re-engineer a swing today?
Well, we have to rebuild the neuromuscular pathways, starting with the upper body.
Okay, any specific drills?
Yeah, Golf Smart Academy utilizes this movement pattern called the scapular triangle drill, developed by Tyler Farrell.
I've seen this. It removes the golf club entirely, right?
Yes, you have to drop the club to prevent the brain from defaulting to its old habits of just trying to hit a ball.
So without the club, the golfer stands upright and brings their hands together in front of their chest, forming a triangle with their straight arms.
Exactly. And the objective is to isolate the sensation of the trail shoulder blade moving back toward the spine.
So pulling that right shoulder blade back if you're a righty.
Right. The crucial element of the scapular triangle is understanding that the shoulder blade drives the pivot. As the trail scapula pulls back, it physically pulls the rib cage and torso into rotation along with it.
Oh, so it is not an isolated twitch of the back muscle. It is the gear that turns the entire upper body.
Yes. Then the drill introduces the transition. The golfer begins turning their lower body toward the target, simulating the start of the downswing.
Okay.
But they must actively keep that trail shoulder blade engaged and retracted. They are training the central nervous system to resist that overpowering urge to throw the arms forward.
Pharrell actually compares the required sensation to Tai Chi, doesn't he?
Yeah, it must be deliberate, slow, and controlled.
Many golfers find that keeping the shoulder blade retracted early in the downswing creates a feeling of immense structural tension.
It feels incredibly tight. But that tension is exactly what keeps the arms from casting outward and creating that over-the-top slice.
Makes total sense. And athletic motion golf attacks this same neuromuscular mapping with their Frankenstein drill.
Oh, the Frankenstein drill is a great one.
Yeah, the setup involves holding both arms perfectly straight out in front of the chest, parallel to the ground.
Right, like Frankenstein's monster.
Exactly. Without bending the elbows and without twisting the rib cage or hips, the golfer must retract one shoulder blade while simultaneously protracting the other.
So pulling one shoulder back while pushing the other forward, using only the scapulae gliding over the rib cage.
Which is incredibly hard. When amateur golfers first attempt this, they often find themselves entirely paralyzed.
Oh yeah, because they have spent years moving their arms and torso as one fused block. They just lack the motor control to separate the movement of the shoulder blades from the movement of the spine.
But mastering the Frankenstein drill builds the precise motor control required to execute the scapula tuck during a high-speed swing.
It teaches the brain how to fire the trapezius independently.
Okay, so those drills remap the upper body mechanics, but we still have to address the structural mobility deficits to protect the lumbar spine.
We can't forget the back pain issue. Mid-Michigan Health's Sports Science Division outlines specific protocols to unlock the thoracic spine and hips.
Right, a foundational movement for this is the thread the needle stretch.
Such a good stretch.
For those who don't know, you take a quadruped position on your hands and knees. Then the golfer reaches one arm underneath their torso, rotating their upper body until their shoulder drops toward the floor.
Yeah, and this forces the thoracic vertebrae into derotation, while the stable quadruped base prevents the lower back from joining in.
It's all about isolating that upper back.
Exactly. And the side-lying open book stretch takes that isolation even further.
How do you set that one up?
Lying on one side, the bottom leg remains straight while the top leg is bent at a 90-degree angle. The arms stretch straight out in front, palms touching. Then the golfer lifts the top arm, rotating their chest open toward the ceiling, attempting to touch the back of their hand to the floor on the opposite side.
The mechanical key to the open book stretch, though, is pinning that top knee to the floor, right?
Absolutely crucial. If the knee lifts up, the pelvis rotates, and the lumbar spine twists to facilitate the reach.
Which defeats the purpose.
Exactly. Pinning the knee physically locks the pelvis and lumbar spine in a stable position, isolating 100% of the rotational demand onto the tight tissues of the thoracic spine and the surrounding fascia.
Wow. So by regularly forcing the thoracic spine to explore its full range of motion, the tissue adapts.
The joints regain their mobility.
And when that golfer returns to the tee box, their brain no longer has to recruit the lower back to complete the swing.
And the pain starts to vanish.
It's amazing. Synthesizing all of these biomechanical layers really reveals a radically different picture of the golf swing than the simple pendulum we started with.
It's a completely different paradigm.
Yeah. Power is not generated by swinging the arms faster. Distance is the result of maximizing the X-factor differential to trigger a neuromuscular stretch reflex.
And accuracy is the result of the trail scapula slotting the club onto a mathematically precise plane.
Right, and longevity in the sport requires relentlessly maintaining the mobility of the hips and upper back to shield the lumbar spine from those catastrophic shear and torsional forces.
You know, it really makes you consider the financial and technological obsession within the golf industry.
Oh, for sure. Players routinely invest thousands of dollars on launch monitors, right?
Yeah. Custom-fitted driver shafts mapped to their exact swing speeds. Club heads optimized with artificial intelligence to maximize smash factor.
Yet we place this highly tuned space-age equipment into the hands of a biomechanical system that is locked up, compensating, and literally fighting its own anatomy.
It's wild. If the human kinetic chain, the timing of the pelvis, the exact degree of scapular retraction, the elasticity of the fascia is the actual engine of the swing, then the club is merely the tailpipe.
That is a great way to put it.
I really believe the most important piece of golf equipment a player will ever own isn't sitting in their bag. It is the complex network of connective tissue, mobile joints, and neuromuscular pathways of their own body.
You have to tune the body first.
Exactly. If you refuse to custom fit your physiology, the most expensive driver in the world won't save you from a wicked slice or a ruptured disc.
So true. The next time you step up to the tee, remember the sheer complexity of the machine you are operating. You are the mechanic of a beautifully engineered sequence. Focus on the moving parts beneath the skin, and the ball flight will take care of itself. We'll see you on the next deep dive.